Ghana Armed Forces commence armed air patrols, destroying illegal mining equipment from the air as a land of the emergence of rogue elements impersonating the armed forces and terrorizing small-scale miners across the country.
Some rogue imposters are taking advantage of the atmosphere and the quest for enforcement to go around the country harassing small-scale entities.
Tonight, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister declares destruction of excavators used for illegal mining will not stop.
It's either we are fighting this menace or we are not. It's either we are determined to clear our water bodies and forest reserves or we are not. We cannot waver in this matter.
And top story is always brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Also brought to you by Vodafone.
The air patrols, the armed air patrols have started. It will not be in your interest to go back on the water bodies to mine.
And sounds there of high caliber bullets raining down from a Ghana Armed Forces helicopter onto a Shanfan illegal mining equipment on one of the rivers. This is the next phase of the war against illegal mining. There's been criticism of the destruction of especially excavators seized at illegal mining sites across the country. Well, tonight, both the Defense Minister and the Lands and Natural Resources Minister have declared the destruction, or what they will rather call the decommissioning of these excavators, will not stop so far as the military captures them being used to mine illegally. We have the latest updates on this war for you shortly, but first listen to Abu Jinapo, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, addressing a news conference a short while ago.
Honorable Minister, there's been a big debate in the country about, I don't call burning of excavators. I don't use that word. I call it decommissioning or demobilizing of equipment which are used for illegal mining. The Ghana Armed Forces are engaged in the decommissioning and demobilizing of equipment which are used for illegalities in our country, and that is how I want to approach it. Now, well, the discourse is ongoing, but I will humbly suggest that perhaps we should also ask the question: what will an excavator be doing on River Pra? What will an excavator be doing on River Ofin, or a Shamfine be doing on River Pra? Ghanaians and all of us, I will respectfully submit that we should interrogate the issue from that point before we get to the stage of what has happened to that excavator, and that is it right or wrong to decommission that excavator. But if we come to the conclusion that an excavator ought not to be on a river body, and it's not as though we woke up one night, overnight, and said all excavators on river bodies be decommissioned. We never did so. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources issued a statement under my hand and gave a window of escape. Even that, some people criticized it. Now, why do you give a warning? And here we are. The instructions are being enforced. And as always, as it happens in our part of the world, you have people begin to raise issues here and there. I will very strongly but respectfully conclude by saying that it's either we are fighting this menace or we are not. It's either we are determined to clear our water bodies and forest reserves or we are not. We cannot waver in this matter.
Well, my colleague Ernest was at the press briefing a short while ago, and as we're beginning to get a clearer picture of what this war is beginning to achieve. There was an accounting today by both ministers of what they've done so far. Walk us through that.
And let me start with the Defense Minister, Dominic Niti, who will give us a breakdown of what they've been able to achieve within the second phase of the operation. And so he talks about the 28 excavators being seized. and 267 champagne machines. I mean, that is the biggest so far we've seen. But if you do the tabulation, this together with what was seized from the first operation, you are looking at over 400 champagne machines. And these are the machines which are causing the destruction in the water
Let's
bodies.
clarify.
Really.
They haven't been seized. They've been destroyed.
Destroyed, exactly.
The excavators, 28 of them, have been destroyed. He clarified that there are only 2 of them that they have not destroyed yet, but they have immobilized.
And
he
because
explained
of
why.
where they were positioned and the difficulty of the task force in moving some of those machines. And so
and he explained
28
that
destroyed.
These 2 were not in the within the 100-meter radius, because they're supposed to destroy everything else that is within that, or on the water or in the forest reserve. These ones were
and he
beyond
says that is the difficulty the team is facing, because they could realize that some of these machines are being drawn from within what they call the red zones to areas which are farther from the areas of destruction. But then that is the explanation given. 28 excavators destroyed, 267 champagne machines. You also have 18 water pump drilling machines, 10 of them, plastic fuel tanks. A wooden accommodation was also destroyed. Remember that they work in forest areas, and so they put up all sort of structures. And then you're looking at 8 industrial batteries as well. And then he said there was a truck load of pumping machines, and this truck is registered 2021, moving into some of these areas. The task force managed to clamp down, seize them, and then they will take action on these ones specifically later.
I mean, so these are significant numbers. 28 excavators, and we are told that an excavator costs in the region of $200,000 for one or so. So that's almost more than 1 million cedis, and being used illegally on the waterways. And he indicated today, as you rightly said, some of them they haven't destroyed yet, but there's a strategy they're beginning to observe where some of these illegal miners are strategically moving
away from the 100-meter red zone. And so we can listen to Dominic Niti, who will explain the challenge they are facing in this operation.
So no prisoners will be taken back home. Everybody is going to go down. So no machine is going to come home. When I say everybody is going to go down, I'm using to just paraphrase what we call the machines that are there, not the human beings. 2 excavators were also immobilized, as I've said, within the yellow zone. The yellow zone are areas about or further than the 100 meters, maybe 100 to 200 meters or 500 meters, because the security have realized that people are working in the night, and immediately they realize they are coming. Then they'll drag the machine 500 meters away. But you can see that this is a truck, fresh truck, and then they'll take the machine off. You can see clearly. But because we said 100 meters, then what they have done so far is not to destroy them, but to immobilize those machines. And then we'll take an action with the advice of the minister responsible for the lands and natural resources, which we'll give to the military as to them. But so that's what they are doing. They have not destroyed any equipment outside the 100 meters radius. What they have done and what they keep to do is that they know that you were mining. They can see the pit. They can see the machine. And they see that you have just taken the machine off, maybe outside that zone, but they did not destroy them. They immobilized them so that we can take action beginning from there.
We'll be speaking to the Small Scale Miners Association on these revelations shortly about this new strategy where they work during the night, and when they see the military approaching, they simply just move it back to the beyond 100 meters. And so they say, oh, I mean, we are not within the 100-meter radius. But there was a revelation today by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. It appears that some rogue elements, and these are the words that he used, are impersonating the military and harassing and terrorizing small-scale miners across the country.
Exactly. And you remember, Evans, that the small-scale miners have raised issues of harassment. Yesterday, you spoke to one of them who said that some of their members are being harassed, even though they are working, they claim, within the permitted regions in the forest reserve and along the river bodies. And the Lands and Natural Resources Minister today explained that apart from the Operation Halt, which has been sanctioned by government and his ministry, no other operation is underway. And so, for instance, Operation Vanguard has been halted. And so, if there is any other group or any other team going around seizing equipment, harassing small-scale miners who claim to be working legally, then these are rogue elements impersonating the National Task Force mandated to carry out this exercise.
We've also observed that some, shall I say, rogue imposters are taking advantage of the atmosphere and the quest for enforcement to go around the country harassing small-scale entities, people who are involved in small-scale mining. I want to clarify that what the military are engaged in is being codenamed or dubbed Operation Hall 2. And the Minister for Defense has been very clear about it. There's a lot of clarity on it. It's indicated, and we've all been on the same page from the very beginning to now, that relates to only the red zones, water bodies, forest reserves. In the case of water bodies, 100 meters away from the banks of any water body in our country. Forest reserves, we are clear about them. So that is the current ongoing operation. The military are not involved in any other operation. If there's going to be any other operation outside the Operation Hall 2, that will be sanctioned by the official authorities, either by myself, the Minister for Defense, or National Security, or whoever, or the government establishment. So I want to make it very clear that task forces which are moving about the country, harassing small-scale miners, whether they are involved in legal or illegal mining, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has not mandated the operation of any task forces. I believe that is very clear. The activities and or operations of Operation Vanguard has been suspended for the time being. Operation Vanguard is no more in operation as we speak.
We also get a sense that we had Nitiwul, the defense minister, make a point on this, that report if you find if you suspect that somebody's in impersonating the military, and they will deal with it. But it appears that this last phase met some resistance.
Absolutely, Evans, and especially the defense minister, Dominic Nitiwul, gave some detail about how you know that there were 400 men engaged in this exercise, drawn from the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. They had pitched camp in a senior high school somewhere around Chichire.
As in, that's where they were resting.
They were resting.
They're sleeping over.
Exactly. And the chief of that town, according to the defense minister, mobilized the young men in that area to face off with these military, with the task force. And he claims that this is an example of how the locals do not appreciate the work that is ongoing. In fact, he adds that some of the illegal miners are forming gangs to resist the team and the operation that is underway.
Heavy mining equipment being used for illegal mining activities on the water and along the river bodies have been withdrawn to hideouts and nearby communities upon hearing of the military presence. And they come back in the night and mine again. Most of the locals do not know or appreciate the dangers associated with the irresponsible mining. And particularly a community called Chichiwere, where the local chief tried to mobilize the youth against the military. You have 400 soldiers, and they are helping you to clean your river body. They didn't go to seize your house to sleep. If they did, I will not be against it. But they are trying to sleep in a secondary school. And you, the chief, insists that they have no right to sleep in that structure. They should leave your town. That the nation has sent its troops to go and do this exercise. And you think that the soldiers have no right to sleep in the classroom in your town because you claim two of your excavators were bent on the river body? I think that people like this must be answerable to their communities and their people. That chief who took that action and made the announcement that the youth should mobilize and go attack the 400 soldiers who were lying down there, what was he thinking he was doing?
So this is the second phase of the Operation Halt, led by the military, and this includes, as we heard earlier, with this high caliber weapons and guns being fired from the air, armed helicopters, flying overhead. But we also know tonight, from what we've seen, the question about, so are they arresting anybody?
Well, unfortunately, the minister says they've not been able to arrest anybody, or no arrests have been made in this second phase. And it's because you find that mainly the people work at night. And once they get hints that the task force is approaching, they leave the scene. And so that has been the difficulty in arresting some of these illegal miners.
We may have to really look at the 100 meters allowable, because the law says that you cannot mine 100 meters. But if somebody is mining 110 meters away and polluting the river, what do we do? The military are having some difficulty because they don't want to have anybody. There was no arrest made because most illegal miners took to their heels. The moment they see the military, they took to their heels. But the military decided that at this phase, they will not be shooting anybody. So they ran off, and so they couldn't get people to arrest. And for even the safety of the troops themselves, they decided that if somebody is running into the forest, into the bush, you don't know where he's carrying, you don't know what he's doing. The only thing you could have done was to have shot him. But they decided that, no, this is not the time to do that. Maybe in future it may happen, I don't know. But for now, this is not the time to do that. And so we couldn't make any arrests for now. But take that not to be a witness. Arrests will be made and people will be prosecuted.
I mean, there's a very interesting suggestion there about whether to shoot or not to shoot, and maybe they might shoot in the future, but they're not there yet. But it comes back also to the question about, I mean, at what point can you make an arrest? Because this whole thing revolves around this 100-meter question.
And for Dominic Nitiwo, going forward, they may have to review that, because you could clearly see in some instances that these are people working either within the 100 zone or actually in the rivers, and are moving the equipment away because of the definition that has been given to this operation. And so he's suggesting to the ministry that going forward, they may have to expand this, and then they can make more arrests. The team will not have any dilemma whatsoever as to whether or not to destroy an equipment because it is within or outside the zone.
We may have to really look at the 100 meters allowable, because the law says that you cannot mine 100 meters. But if somebody is mining 110 meters away and polluting the river, what do we do? The military are having some difficulty because they don't want to have anybody accusing them of moving beyond the 100 meters. So they are sticking to the 100 meters. But they've seen that people just mine and park the machines 150 meters away. You can see the machine. You can see it. I just mined. That's mined 50 meters away. But what do? We are not capturing every prisoner. There are some prisoners who are outside our reach. Not because we cannot capture them, but it is because that is the directive and that's what the law says, and we want to follow the law. So those who think that the law is not being followed, the law is being followed strictly. That is 100 meters, and we are doing that as such.
This big question about this 100-meter and whether or not the military can identify that and use that as a basis to determine which equipment to destroy and who to arrest has been topical. I want to bring in the spokesperson for the Small Scale Miners Association. Yesterday, they held a press conference, gave a 7-day ultimatum. Today, we've heard clearly from the ministers that the destruction will continue, and that once no excavator that has been destroyed so far, the 28 have been destroyed when they were within legal limits. I want to speak to Razak now. Hello, Razak.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time here on Top Story. So the very high-level press conference today, and the message is clear that destruction will continue, and the minister is clear that none of the excavators destroyed were destroyed within the legal limits.
Thank you very much, Evans. He has come out to clarify the air. But where we went and did the press conference, it's a legal site, and then that is why we went there, because that man or those people that they went and bed the excavator, they are within the limit of the law. It's a block-out area, it's a concession which Minerals Commission has given out to them, and they are working as legal miners. We are not talking for the generalistic approach that the ministry are taking. We are only concerned on our members who are having legal documents working, and they've gone to their side to destroy their equipment by burning the excavators. That is where we are talking about.
Yeah, but the minister says you may have legal documents, but the equipment they've destroyed so far were being used within the 100-meter radius.
It's, one thing is that we need to clarify issues about this 100-meter thing, because the buffer zone or this thing that is 50 to 100 that you always leave. And if the person is within the limit, what are they talking about? Because
are you saying that your
were there?
Are you saying that your excavators were within 50 meters of the river?
No, we sent a delegation for fact findings, and the report we had is the rules of the game. They followed it by following the 100 meters away from the track, and that is where they are working. And whatever they are doing there, your media group were all there yesterday. That's why we send the media there for people not to come and say we are doing Photoshop. That is why we send the media there to the site to ascertain what is on the ground and see whether the person is washing inside the pra or not. And everything was clear. So we are concerned on our members who are having legal documents and they've gone to their side, burning them. That is what we are talking about. But as for those who are illegal miners, if they go to their side, all of us are praying that all this thing about illegal mining should stop in the country so that we all have our peace. We are small-scale miners. We are not happy. Always, every blessed day, our name is on air. We are not, those in the forest reserves, we will not sit here and pretend. We are not in support of their activities. So the forest reserves and the water bodies, anything that is happening there, we don't have a problem on that. But to veer off and go to our members to destroy their equipment, that is where we have a problem.
I mean, today it also emerged, and the military has found evidence of this, that some of your members who claim to have legal documents operate at night and bring the excavators close and really onto the river and excavate. And then in the morning, they move it back. In fact, the military found tracks of the excavators having been moved from the river beyond the 100 meters, only to claim, oh, we are operating with the legal limit. Your members are trying to beat the law, but doing illegal activity.
My brother, to let us be frank with ourselves, no legal miner who will be doing the right thing will be hiding, going to the using excavators in the night to go and operate, and then in the morning come and pretend as if he's not doing. No legal miner will do that. So if the person, if they've seen anybody doing that, it means that person is an illegal miner.
Yes,
even
yes.
With the 25 acres that they've given us, when you go beyond your 25 acres, you are an illegal miner. But our concern is that where we went and that they've burned the excavator, they've not gone beyond the law. And the owners were on site, and they even, when they came, the military came, the owners of the site met them to explain to them, they removed their documents, and they told them that they are not technical people. They were instructed to come and do it. That is why we have a problem. If not, anybody who hides to do anything is an illegal thing. So if you go beyond your limit, you are doing an illegal activity. We will not sit here and defend such people. But when the person is working within his limit, why do you go there burning their equipment? That is why we have the challenge.
The ministers are clear tonight that the destruction will not stop. So far as your members and some others continue to operate illegally, he says it will stop, and that your complaints, they haven't found any evidence to support your claims that these distractions have happened when you were observing the law. What's your next move now?
That's one of the first things, because yesterday we came out clearly, and they've come to respond. The despot of action will sit and then restructure ourselves and then come out for people to know where we are talking about. We are not going to relent until we get to the root of this thing, because our documents and everything will make sure that where we want proof, we'll prove them, because this thing that we did, not that we are hiding to do press conference or that. When they did that, we reported to the police. The police went there, took inventory, took everything that they're supposed to take. The thing is, the law did not even allow them to be burning machines.
So you say you've reported the destruction of your excavators to the police?
To a district police at Praso. And then they've even sent a delegation from the national headquarters to come and ascertain what is on the ground. They came and picked their findings. But we didn't fit. That we came as an association to do a press conference to give or to inform the whole world that this is not, we are not happy about what transpired.
Yeah, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister also disclosed today that there are some people he called rogue elements, rogue imposters, who are impersonating, pretending to be military officers to harass your members. Have you encountered any of these people?
That's very true. That is why initially when they were coming out with this militarization, we told them in confidence and told them that, look, there are so many people who are going around doing things in the name of national security. That is why we told them that, look, let us define the people who are coming to operate. As we speak, Evans, since 2017, government introduced Operation Vanguard. Initially, it was the military. Later on, they withdrew them and brought the police to come and replace them. There are some groups going around claiming their national security. Some are calling themselves Rexex, and what is the name? Operation Calm Life. And then some are going around claiming that they are from the Jubilee House. All these people are taking advantage because we don't have a straight line to differentiate between the security agencies. So that is why we were complaining. We were telling the government, the time we met at the National Dialogue, we made it clear to them, this is to hold for now with this military term, so that we will define the rule. If we are using military, then all these other security agencies should stop. So that if anything which will come, we will then put it at the doorstep of the military. If it is police that you are using, let us know that it is police. If it is RegSec, like he came out to say that they are stopping all the forces. Is it this, now that they've done the destruction, they are now stopping the forces, and you are claiming that it is not the Operation Halt who went and did it. But right now, it is Operation Halt you came and announced. So any military man we will see there, it's Operation Halt. Now we will. So whether it is other forces who pretend to go and then do that, we don't know, because you came out to say that you deployed Operation Halt to then operate. And they've been following with a documentary, and that they've been damaging all these things, claiming that those places are all illegal mining sites. So if government were to define and then stop all the security agencies before coming out with this Operation Halt, then if the year of or if other people comes in, we wouldn't know the difference. But if you've not done that and then you mix all the security agencies and everybody can take advantage to go and do whatever they want, whom do we blame?
Okay, thank you, Razak. The minister says he'll be meeting you. Will you be meeting?
Our doors are open. We are knocking at his door.
There's a forum. There's a forum tomorrow in Ashanti region. You'll be part of it.
The Ashanti region, fine. The notice is very short, but we'll try and then attend.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a spokesperson for the National Association of Small Scale Miners. Listen, tonight the message is clear from the Information Minister, the Defense Minister, and the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Now is the next phase, including, well, air gunships.
The armed air patrols have started. It will not be in your interest to go back on the water bodies to mine.
Well, high caliber bullets flying, raining down onto a Shanfine being used on one of the water bodies there. And the defense minister captured the destructions that they've encountered in the last 3 days.
Unfortunately for the people of Ghana, as the operation commenced, we realized, even from the reconnaissance, which is a record, that the situation was even worse than the first phase. The devastation was worse off than the first phase. Absolutely terrible. And it looks like the third phase will even be worse off than the second phase, because the record tells us that the devastation is even more terrible than the second phase. So from